Hi there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. I'm here in Barnsley and I'm at Two Wheel Nation, and today I'm going to be riding this. So this is the Moto Morini X-CAPE 649. So this is a bike I saw at EICMA last November. I'll give you a quick look at it, but then I'm going to head out because they're closing soon. So I'll give you a proper look while I'm out and about and tell you what I think. So let's give you a very quick look around it. This is the Moto Morini X-CAPE 649. I think it looks great, especially in that red with all the little Italian accents on it. 649cc parallel twin. I think this will be fun. So this is my first ride on the Moto Morini X-CAPE 649, and honestly, I think this looks great. I really do. I'm extremely impressed with the build quality and how it just looks here. But let's see how it rides. It's got the 649cc parallel twin, which is purring away. Let's see what it's like on the road. It's got quite a high seat. And off we go. So the first few bits, there's just some speed bumps to go over, the 20-mile-an-hour zone. The first impressions are, yeah, the build quality on it actually looks really good. I mean, like really good. For a bike at this price point, I think it's exceptional. Now I know technology is always moving on, but even just like the quality of that TFT screen and how big it is, and all the switch gear, that is a very strong start. So the first thing I'm going to try is just see what it's like on a dual carriageway. So there's one just along here, so I'm just curious to see what this is like on here. So actually, you know what, there's quite a bit of pickup there. I mean, it's not going to be winning any sports bike races, but that was it's peppy enough certainly in first and second. Where am I going from here? I think I'm going down this one. So this bike has got, I think they're Pirelli sort of slightly knobbly tyres on. Oh, I can't go around here. Never mind, I'll do one more. The grip on tarmac seems to be pretty good, and that's in third gear. And it quite easily just, yeah, pulls away. So I did wonder whether in a bike this big, just that little 650 twin would do enough. But I think it does. Yeah, definitely. I can go around this one. In fact, it's actually quite fun just pottering around these roundabouts on this bike. You know, it seems very eager to lean, and you know, confidence inspiring when you do so. So far so good. At 60 miles an hour, I mean, in sixth gear it's only doing what, just under 4,000 RPM, and yeah, that's pretty good. With fourth, there we go, and there's quite a lot of torque actually, even from low down. So the way that's feeling, just as I'm pulling out through there, it doesn't feel strained at all from sort of low revs, 20 miles an hour, and that's in fourth gear. So I know this isn't going to perform like 1,000 or a 1,200 or a 1,250. It's certainly got something about it. Let's see if I can find some more interesting roads. I don't really know this part of sort of Barnsley and Sheffield particularly well, which doesn't help. But I know there's a couple of places where I can go for a few minutes. And the brakes are certainly good enough, you know, very progressive. You give them a little bit of a squeeze, you stop a little bit, you give them a bit more of a pull, and you stop a lot. It is quite a tall bike. I'm 6'1", and actually with my feet on the ground now, I'm not quite getting my heels down, so maybe that will put some people who are a bit shorter in the leg off. It certainly wants to go. So I think my worry with this bike when I saw it was that for an engine that makes, I think, around 50 horsepower, and I think weighs the wrong side of 200 kilos, it's just another middleweight bike. It's too heavy and underpowered. But actually, it's alright. I'm not sure how much fun it would be doing long distances on the motorway, but I don't know how many bikes are. And, you know, for not doing long distances on the motorway and just having a, you know, doing sort of 50-60 mile an hour touring or riding, maybe this is perfect. I mean, I think it's absolutely capable of doing long distances on the motorway. Yeah, that 650 engine, even with 50 horsepower, is more than enough to propel it along easily at 70, if not 80. There is an average speed limit along here, but I can do a bit at 60. Oh yeah, and it'll easily hit 60 in third. Better stick to that as it's an average limit. But yeah, just looking around, there's just a lot here. The controls look pretty well laid out, but aren't too complicated. The fit and finish overall, it looks like there's got adjustable forks as well, which is always promising. So yeah, I think this actually looks like quite a nice package. What I'll do is I'll find somewhere quiet to stop and let you have a proper look around it. I think this is actually a very tidy looking bike. I honestly can't remember what the price is for this, but I will check with them when I get it back to Two Wheel Nation in Barnsley. Notice, and if you can see in that mirror on my right, is that there is quite a lot of vibration coming through that mirror. I'm not feeling it in my hands, but that mirror on the right hand side does look a little bit blurry, and that's only doing 55-60 miles an hour under 4,000 RPM, so I'm really not really pushing it. So even its low speed manners are extremely polite, you know, coming through these little twisting bends. And yeah, it never feels like it's got too much, and it certainly wouldn't, but it doesn't feel as big as its weight would suggest. Where should I go? I'll stick on this road, it looks like nice tarmac. But yeah, it seems that even at low speed and at sort of motorway speeds, that it's not a terrible place to be. In fact, it's quite a nice place to be. Just cruising along here now, I am getting a bit of buffeting off the top of the screen, and I'm not sure whether that's because the screen's too high, so it's actually pushing too much up, sort of into the peak of my LS2 Explorer helmet. But yeah, I am quite enjoying this. I enjoy riding every bike, mostly. It's then what turns out to be things that I don't enjoy. And there's actually quite a lot of engine braking, so that's me not really doing much just in second gear, and it's not a big engine, they're not big cylinders, it's 649cc parallel twin, and that's yeah, certainly giving a high degree of assurance coming down here. Suspension is showing up a little bit down here that is a little bit bouncy, but I didn't really expect any different, and actually it's probably better than I thought it would be. So yeah, coming in just at low speed, it's very easy to ride. That probably sounds weird. I mean, lots of bikes are easy to ride at low speed. What I mean is that for a heavy bike, sometimes at low speed they do feel a bit lumbering. You know, the steering might be a little bit heavy, but this feels, you know, very light, tips easily. And there's certainly enough torque. If you come across something steep, it's just a little twist to the wrist and off you go. So yeah, despite not being the most powerful bike ever, it's certainly got enough about it, and on these little windy lanes, that's a lot of fun. So this is the Moto Morini X-CAPE 649, and they've been making bikes in Italy since the 1930s. Fallen on hard times, changed hands a few times, and as you might expect, this is not entirely all authentic Moto Morini, but it kind of is, in the same way that a lot of these new brands that are coming out have some things done to them. So a few things about it. It's definitely got that sort of Dakar rally look about it, with that sort of steep front. It doesn't have a beak, which is nice to see. It does just have a normal mudguard here. So starting at the front end, we've got that radiator there that could probably do with a guard for adventure travel, but it looks okay. It does have this height adjustable windscreen. It's got twin discs at the front, with some, you know, Brembo calipers on, which again at this price point is quite nice. It's got the Marzocchi front shock, which I'm pretty sure is fully adjustable, both for, you see that in there, for rebound and for compression damping, which is great to see. The engine itself looks very tidy, and that black engine casing doesn't come with a bash guard. It does have this piece of trim It does have this piece of trim, but as you can see, that's just a piece of plastic that's on there. Other than that, you know, the pedals are basic, but look good enough, with rubber inserts just to take out some of that vibration. Coming around the back end, again, Brembo caliper in there, spoked wheels, which are tubeless, which is also nice to see. It comes with this sort of grab rail, which is metal, which again, it's alloy, it's not plastic, or at least it feels like it's alloy. The tail tidy, okay, they're never a thing of beauty, but that looks all right. Just having a look at this exhaust, it's actually really tiny. I mean, from the side it looks like it's a reasonable size, but when you look at it end on, it is very, very flush and narrow to the bike. And in fact, the bike itself, from the back, is pretty narrow. Having a quick look on this side, chain driven, obviously. Yeah, again, similar deal with the pedals. So coming up, so you see the controls we have on this side, all fairly self-explanatory, adjustable levers. Now what I am really pleased with this is just how good this screen is. So when this comes to life, there we go, you get the Moto Morini logo, and then a sort of a X-CAPE and a bike in the background, and then you get this very, very clear display. As I'm moving these buttons here on this side, it's just switching between settings, audio and phone. And then here we have the adjuster to move the screen up and down. Again, a Brembo reservoir up here, and a few buttons on the right hand side. The seat looks a little bit like a one-piece seat, except when you get up close you realise it's in two pieces, except the pillion seat is, you know, right flush up against it. But the paintwork and the finish on it, and I think just how it looks, I think is pretty awesome. The belly pan on it is just a piece of plastic, so if you actually wanted to use it for adventure riding, you might want to put something a bit more robust on it. But I think that looks like a really nice looking bike, especially in the red. Really am impressed by that. LED running lights, of course. But then who doesn't have LED running lights these days? Right then, off we go again. Yeah, it's kind of docile when you start it up. You know, it doesn't have a big loud roar, but yeah, the clutch is super light and it is just interesting to ride. So I believe the engine for this is derived from Kawasaki 650 twin. Oh, slightly rough road, but that was okay. So yeah, this bike is pretty nimble. It's certainly got a bit more go about it than, say, my CRF 300 or the Scram. Yeah, it's you know, it's definitely not just a bike for pottering around country lanes. Actually, that's got quite a nice sound to it when you wind it up. Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. I thought it was going to be fairly docile and quiet throughout, but on a fast A road like this with a 60-mile-an-hour limit where you can give it some, yeah, that's got a lot more go about it than I thought it would. The thing I would say is that gearbox isn't particularly refined. You know, some of them they just click in and out the gears. Then again, this bike's only done 102 miles, so yeah, it's not really running yet. Maybe we'll give that one the benefit of the doubt that it would get better with time. I'm not far from being back at Two Wheel Nation now, so I'm trying to work out what I think about this bike. So it's, you know, it's definitely heavier, not a trail bike like my CRF 300 is. It's definitely not a, you know, full-on heavyweight tourer bike like my GS, but I think it does kind of fit in the middle, and there aren't that many bikes in this sort of 650 sector. I mean, I'm sure that someone was now going to give me a list of what there is. I think it's certainly an interesting prospect, and I think at this price, I don't know what else I can think of. Maybe the Tenere 700, something like that, is in this sort of category, but that feels like it's you know, it's another 20 horsepower more. It's certainly a few £1,000s more. Things like the Aprilia Touareg 660, again the same. You know, it's more money, you know, higher tech, more power. So yeah, I think this is maybe the Honda CB500X perhaps is a competitor, but I think just on looks alone in this ride, I think I'd probably pick this given the choice of the two of them. So yeah, I think maybe availability of the bikes might be a thing. So I saw this bike first in EICMA last year, and this is the first one I've seen in the UK. It's their demo bike at Two Wheel Nation, and it's only got 105 miles on it. It's a new thing. I think maybe, you know, parts might be a problem, but you know, what I understand is Moto Morini are looking to make them very readily available, and for me, given that I have a dealer that's not far from where I live, it is quite a tempting prospect. We shall see how tempting. Anyway, I'm almost back there, so what I'm going to do is I'll return the bike to them, and then I'll just record a few final thoughts, and I will confirm actually what the price is for this bike with them, because it's one of those ones that looks almost too good to be true, and you know, when you get it, you wonder actually, is the build quality not really going to be up to scratch? You know, is it not going to look as shiny as the bikes they have at the bike shows that have been prepped and valeted? Whereas this one, you know, it's been used. It did have a bit of you know, some spots where you can see it's been rinsed off, so you know, it's not like it's been polished up just to make it look, you know, like a brand new bike, even though it is. And even with that, it looks good. And we're back. All right. So that's it. That's my ride out on the Moto Morini X-CAPE 649. I really enjoyed that. They did say I could take it on some trails and do a longer test ride. So I think I'm going to come back later in the summer and then take it out to the Peak District for a few hours and yeah, just see what it's like on some of the trails out there. It does come with those Pirelli tyres on as standard. So yeah, I am genuinely interested to see what a bike at this price point, how it performs for what it is. I mean, it does seem to be quite heavy, but it doesn't really feel it when you're riding it. 50 horsepower doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're on it, it seems like enough. This particular bike in that setup is about £7,700 on the road. So, you know, a couple of grand less than a Tenere 700, grand more plus a bit than a CRF 300. But I think it does kind of fit between those two quite nicely. Looking forward to my next ride. Anyway, I hope this has been interesting and useful. If it has, maybe I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. I mean, I'll just do it once, but yeah, I was amazed. It just sounds brilliant. I just love it. Anyway, thank you very much.
It's a big smile you got, so it looks like you're happy with it.
Yeah, I forgot to ask, how much are they?